MSSP Alert Live 2025. What a great event. What a great event. We were just outside of DC in Maryland at the MGM. Beautiful casino, restaurants. I've ever been to an MSSP Alert event conference. It was great. The staff unbelievably accommodating, friendly, and just want to promote technology, the platform, the camaraderie, the networking. The vendors were great. They gave me a speaking session. I had a book signing. It was just a tremendous event. I had 10 great interviews. Raphael Matone, of course, really like talking to Raphael. He was our first one inside the next era of MSP security and growth. Great conversation, great meeting Raphael. Next was Wilfredo Santiago. First time meeting Will. He's at one of my favorite companies, Black Point Cyber. And first time getting to know Will. Great insight on the military. The name of the episode is Cracking Codes and Catching Threats, a Cyber Warrior's Journey. Really interesting background. I look forward to getting to know him more and hanging out with him socially. Sharon Florentine from Cyber Risk Alliance. Really great conversation. She has an editing background. We talk about editing, AI, and the changing language of business. Really great insight from Sharon, I think, for her time. And then there was two women that I interviewed from a Woman in Cyber. It's an organization, incredible organization that obviously by the name helps women get into cybersecurity. The first one was Brianna Steele, Opening Doors, the Future of Women in Cybersecurity. Great conversation with Brianna. The next one was Chichi Uba, Curiosity, Courage, and Cyber, a journey of constant learning. Great conversations with those two women from that great organization. Valerie Cofield, Val, great discussion with Val, inside critical infrastructure and the future of cyber warfare. What an impressive background, FBI and the government, being child of immigrants. Just a great conversation with Val. Really enjoyed it. Tony Petricola, first one I did on Wednesday. Great conversation with Tony. I feel like we're related. He started by our last names. He was stomping on grape as a youngster with his Italian parents. And of course, he likes wine, but right into cyber and what he does there. Inside critical infrastructure and the future of cyber warfare. Great conversation with Tony. Caroline Wong. Oh, I really enjoyed talking to Caroline. Jiu-Jitsu, AI, and cyber. Surprisingly human conversation. Great insight. Just really open with Caroline and can't wait to see the new things that she's going to do. And really, what a great event this was. And I look forward to doing more work with them in the future and having more great conversations. Thanks for watching and listening. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because of working way too much. Before you know it, I found myself 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. Took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People think there's some secret. Ask me, how'd you lose that weight? Like there's some secret. There is no secret. How did I lose the weight? Just one word, discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends, colleagues convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission? How do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually ask them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision, growth through learning from others.
Cool.
So why get into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? What happened?
So,
February, 11 months ago.
My husband and I, we couldn't be more different people, and he is a fighter. The guy wrestled for a long time. You know, we're talking like qualify for state championships in high school level kind of wrestling. And COVID happened, wrestling wasn't happening. After COVID, he got into jiu-jitsu. So then the kids get into jiu-jitsu. And there's this new gym, and the coach is like really cool, a wonderful person. And so I say to him, Coach Gill, when the gym is big enough that you have an all women's class, I will give it a try.
Wow.
Because, you know, at the time, the idea of rolling around with like random sweaty men was not super interesting to me. And I am just so incredibly surprised that it is just really fun. I had my first ever competition.
Whoa.
A month or two ago, I lost both of my matches, but it kind of doesn't matter.
No.
It doesn't matter at all. I thought to myself, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to learn. What's funny about being a middle-aged woman who's a white belt and then attending a local competition is I literally lost both matches, but then I came away with a gold medal because in one, in my gi bracket, one competitor did not make weight, and the other competitor did not show up. So I walked away with a gold medal. And then the other one that I lost, there were 3 of us in the bracket. My best friend got gold. The other competitor got silver. I lost both matches, but there were only 3 of us, so I got a bronze medal. So I can choose to be as, silly about it on social media as I want to. Anyway, this is not the conversation I was expecting to happen today, but I'm so delighted.
In this fast-paced MSP landscape, how do you stay ahead? Introducing MSPinfluencer.com, your ultimate hub for MSP news, insights, and community connection powered by Forza Dash. More than 75,000 MSPs subscribe to our MSP Influencer Pulse weekly newsletter, staying informed and ahead of industry trends. Tune in to emerging podcasts from Joey Pinz and leading MSP voices, offering essential tips, powerful insights, and success stories. Explore our multi-authored blogs, crafted specifically for MSP leaders, delivering fresh perspectives and actionable strategies. Celebrate excellence with the industry-leading Forza Dash MSP Influencer Awards, recognizing innovation, leadership, and impact in the MSP community. Join thousands of MSP professionals who trust MSPinfluencer.com to grow their business and expand their networks. MSPinfluencer.com, where today's MSP leaders connect, collaborate, and conquer, all powered by the Forza Dash platform, helping MSP vendors work effectively with MSPs and helping MSPs grow.
What strikes me most about it is how humble and humiliating it is. People they respect each other, they tap, they stop, they restrain. People have, I think, an incorrect perception of it's just kind of, we're trying to choke each other, we're trying to cause this damage, but it's not like that at all. There's lots of humility.
It is a gentle art.
Yes.
And then the mat is this incredibly equalizing place. You've got people from all sorts of different socioeconomic backgrounds, all sorts of different experiences, and it's just equal.
Yeah, everybody's the same.
It's just equal. It doesn't matter if you're a 63-year-old man or a 15-year-old girl. You get everything's equal. So it's fun. It's really fun.
And the way that you start looking at bodies.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The dynamics of how far the elbow reaches.
Are you a fighter, Joey?
So I started.
Dude, okay,
and then
clearly.
I got rolled and I cracked a rib and I never went back.
You know what? That is a terrible injury.
It's terrible.
That is a terrible
injury.
injury.
It influences my golf and my tennis, and then I get upset.
All the other things.
And I haven't been back. But it's just the way you start looking at things. And people think it's, I know how to fight now, but it's the complete opposite. You're taught not to use it, but to be able to run, get away from if something happens.
Absolutely.
So, put them down perhaps, and then get away.
Yeah.
It's not this offensive kind of.
It's actually like a game of chess. It's like a game of chess
Yeah.
with your body. The other thing that I'm finding surprising about it is how incredibly body positive the sport is.
That's a good point.
There's an acknowledgement, no matter what size you are, you have inherent advantages and disadvantages. Right. And then depending on your opponent and what size that person's body is, you're going to have advantages and disadvantages. And it's all about sort of learning what is your personal advantage and what's going to work for you.
It is interesting, Caroline, because people automatically think, the bigger person, the burlier person is going to. Not the case at all. Sometimes the wiry can get into
technique, because the human body, we are biologically constrained. The human body works in finite ways.
That's true.
And if we can understand the physics of how the human body works, there's a great podcast I'm obsessed with called BJJ Mental Models. And it's really fun, regardless of whether you do BJJ or not. The concept is most BJJ classes, you go in there, the coach has a curriculum. They're going to give you a 5 to 10 step process where there's there's a specific submission that you're working on, and it's easy to assume that the way to mastery is you memorize the steps, you do the steps, and that's actually not the case. There's actually fundamental mental models, stuff that folks kind of in tech can really relate to. So I've found that to be interesting.
It is. You can see parallels with that. And also, I don't know how to say this, but just people who do it just seem to be a bit more even-keeled, just a bit more laid back. You would think that they'd be more hyper and ready to go, but it's the actual opposite. There's a comfort in knowing that I understand how certain these things, if something goes bad, I know how to kind of get myself out of it.
And it's also a recognition, like, here I am with you at this gorgeous hotel. We're wearing very nice business attire.
Yes.
We're sporting our crystal bracelets, and we're doing this podcast, and it's so amazing to be able to contrast that with my life experience of a week ago, my best friend is choking me, or I'm fighting. It feels like, in a fun, safe way.
Yes.
I'm fighting for my life when I'm rolling with my coach, who's got a solid 75 pounds and 3 belts on top of me. It's just a different part of life that I think in 2025 in privileged America we don't experience, and there's something really raw and human about it that I find actually to be quite balancing. I spend so much of my day in front of a computer screen, and don't get me wrong, I love my computer screens, but it's a nice contrast.
It is a contrast. Yeah, we're really well said. So we're here, like you mentioned, at the big MSSP Alert live event outside of DC. What are some of your goals this week, Caroline?
Let's see. This is my first event of this type. It's actually my first time at this hotel. I had no idea that there were casinos like this on the East Coast. A friend of mine was explaining to me about how, yes, there's casinos in Maryland. There are not casinos in Virginia. For a while, there was lottery in Virginia and not Maryland. And this is all fascinating to me. Anyway.
You live in the area?
I'm from Portland.
Oh, you're the
other side of the country.
Yes.
So this is, I looked up the weather and I was like, gosh, it's going to be really cold. Yes. I need to prepare accordingly. I'm wearing thick wool tights.
Good for you.
And so
your goals this week.
I've been writing a book on AI and cybersecurity. It is going to be released in March of next year, March 2026. It's available for pre-order on Amazon. Also, to my delight, you can apparently buy the book at Target and Walmart, which to me is just hilarious. I've been doing a lot of research in this area, and I wanted to come and talk to people about it and share with folks some of what I've learned.
Why write a book?
I wrote a book in 2011 about security metrics. And in 2022, that book got inducted into the Cybersecurity Canon Hall of Fame.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. It was like so incredibly, it was just nice to be like, oh my gosh, it's been such a long time and the information is still providing value to people. That's really cool. And one of the things that I love about what I get to do in this industry is take really complex technical concepts and just try and make it make sense. I like to think that I can talk about any technical concept equally to my 7-year-old mother-in-law, my 13-year-old niece, and that they can make some sense of it.
What is it about cybersecurity and AI that attracts you?
I've been in cybersecurity for 20 years.
Wow.
And AI is changing everything.
Yeah.
And it's changing everything in a way that's different from a shift from a focus from network to application security, from on-prem to cloud. It is actually different. And to me, it's just absolutely fascinating. I feel like for a few years, we've been trying to figure it out. Every board, every executive is sort of insisting that their team adopt AI as much as possible. More productivity, more efficiency, fewer people. And so I really wanted to understand what's going on there. And I think that there is something so simple that gets lost in all of the hype. Because the hype is so real. One of the things that I talked about on the keynote stage yesterday was what kinds of questions to ask for an AI provider. Because I've met with, and I think there's kind of, I think there's kind of three categories. I've talked to so many different AI cybersecurity providers over the last few years. And there's a category where they're using the term and they actually don't know what it means. And you actually just ask them the simple word, tell me how it works. And nobody can give you a straight answer. So that's indicative.
Fascinating.
That's indicative. There's another type where it's a little bit sort of Wizard of Oz, man behind the curtain. People are calling it AI, but what actually makes it work is some super smart humans in the background, which I'm not opposed to that at all. I think that's great, but call it what it is. And then you have people who are doing actual real AI engineering, and you ask these people, where'd you get your data sets? What models are you using? What algorithms are you using? And they have good explainability and they have good transparency. And you ask them, how do they validate their outputs? And you ask them, at what point does the system defer to a human? And I think that fundamentally we're all trying to figure out how to evaluate AI solutions.
Yes.
And here's how I think we go about it. You take a use case that exists. You take a thing that you do every day or every week or every month. And then you try doing it with an AI solution. And it either works better or it doesn't. And if it works better, then great. That's it.
There's your test. The problem is that the AI is getting better and better. So if you try it today, it might be better tomorrow.
That is true. It does change, and it changes incredibly rapidly.
Yeah.
And I think that, when I was in college, I shadowed a software engineer at IBM who worked in QA, and I thought to myself, gosh, this person really likes what she's doing. This is not for me. I do not want to be doing that particular task for like 30 years of my life. And what I didn't know at that time was we don't do things for 30 years of our lives. We do things for 3 years or 5 years, and then we change. And when it comes to tools these days, I can use a tool today and I can use a different tool tomorrow. And that's okay too. But to your point, there's also something about, okay, I have a set amount of time to do evaluations. I have a set amount of time to do implementation. I need to train people. I need to shift the culture. I'm going to invest, and I don't want to use something today that's going to change tomorrow that's not going to work for me. First of all, some variation of that problem exists with any tool and any solution, AI or otherwise. And secondly, there are questions you can ask like, the engineering leadership of this company, like what have they each been doing for the last 10 years? And critically, what have they been doing in the last 10 years that indicates that they might or might not be serious about and strong when it comes to AI engineering? Because people throw around this term like AI engineer, and I think there's a difference between an AI engineer who's working at Anthropic or at OpenAI, or an IT engineer who's implementing a corporate installation of Microsoft Copilot. Like those are different things. And again, you can just ask, you can just look. What's this person's history? What's this person's experience? over the last 10 years. And how does that indicate if they might or might not be super great at AI?
Caroline, you said you've been in cybersecurity for 20 years. At what point did it, I mean, when AI was introduced, it turned it into a very different, right? It changed the tables. Do you remember that point in cybersecurity in your career where AI was there and everything changed?
You know, we were having such a good time in cybersecurity and in tech in 2020 and 2021.
Sure. And then
these last few years have been a little wobbly,
Yes,
haven't they?
yes.
And there's many different reasons why it's been a little wobbly, but the AI thing certainly doesn't work. You know, I'm so privileged. In 2005, I graduated from UC Berkeley with a degree in electrical engineering and computer science, and I was gonna get a job. And it was gonna be a great job. And, you know, my friends and colleagues and I who work in tech, like, many of us have been fortunate to have really stable, really awesome careers. And today that is just not the case. You know, you take a college graduate from one of the best universities in one of the in CS, in electrical engineering, these kids can't find jobs. We've got ridiculously talented people throughout security and tech out of work, underemployed.
Wow.
And so stuff is just wobbly. And it's happening at the same time as AI, because AI has been around for a long time, we know that, but never has it been so consumable.
available.
Yeah, my 13-year-old wasn't using ChatGPT 10 years ago
Right.
when she was 3, even though she was using YouTube and an iPhone.
Right.
So yeah, it's and you know, I am not of the belief that AI is gonna take all our jobs and ruin all our lives, and we're gonna have to hide from it. You know, I don't really subscribe to that. I'm very pro tech, but I do believe firmly that there is a tremendous learning opportunity for us, and that the learning opportunity for us is extremely accessible right now. Any of us can go and use AI right now.
Right.
We can go and have fun with it.
Yes.
And those of us that play around with it, check it out for ourselves, you know, are able to get past any sort of fear or resistance and just try it out. I think that's going to be a massive advantage. Whereas folks who, you know, maybe they're scared of it, or they don't want to do it, or, you know, that this is not a time, in my opinion, to stay away. You know, this is a time to jump right in.
So in regards to all this, Caroline, what keeps you up at night? What worries you?
Oh, gosh. Okay, so two things. Thing one, people, employees with sensitive information, confidential information, people may or may not understand that you should not take your company's source code, you should not take your company's intellectual property and just dump it into a private or a public LLM. Sensitive data exposure and data leakage is everywhere. You know, this is shadow IT, but like a million times worse. Everyone's using AI. All your employees are using AI. How do you, as a cybersecurity professional, keep track of any of it? That's a tough problem to solve. The other bit is that, you know, in the 90s and even 10 and 20 years ago, social engineering used to be relatively easy to spot. You could look for bad grammar. You could look for ugly graphics. These days, that is just not the case. The scams are so good.
They are.
And so much of that has to do with LLMs and how they're super good at language. So I can be speaking language A, and I can write a scam message in language B, and I can specify exactly the style and tone. I can specify, make me sound like Joey Pinz.
Right.
Say it just like Joey would say it. And I just have it at my fingertips. And so what happens is the cues that we give to people, they can't be tactical. They can't be technical. I can't say, read the message out loud and tell me if it sounds grammatically correct to you. I have to say, did you expect this message? Yes or no? Did this message make your heart jump for a beat? Yes or no? And if that's the case, turn your phone over, shut your laptop screen, just like look away for 1 second and just like get yourself out of that psychological moment.
Wow.
And then just verify through a second channel. You know, you got a text message from somebody that you think you know, just write them an email. Just validate. And actually, we have to follow our emotional cues. We can no longer look for tactical, technical things, which requires, that's exactly right, which frankly requires a level of nervous system regulation that I don't know is super prevalent throughout this industry.
What if discipline wasn't about punishment, but about unlocking your best self? I spent 2.5 years writing Discipline for Greatness because discipline changed my life. And I know it can change yours too. This isn't theory. Inside, you'll find real, practical steps you can use immediately to focus better, build stronger habits, reduce stress, accomplish your goals, and bring more balance to your life. Whether you're trying to get healthier, improve your career, or simply feel more control, this book gives you the framework. Start today. Grab your copy of Discipline for Greatness at joeypinz.com/book. Thank you.
Yeah, very good point. Somebody was telling me about ghost jobs recently where these bad actors put up these jobs, people apply, they get the information.
Oh, heartbreaking.
One went so far, listen to this, Caroline, they actually met for the interview, and minutes before they said, construction in the office, meet me at the Starbucks. So they met at the Starbucks, said the office is right there, gave them a sign sheet.
Oh my
they
gosh,
signed
horrible.
it and said, email all this, and the person was just about to email their W-9 and everything, and noticed it was being sent to a Gmail, and stopped, did some research, and people got some bank accounts cleared because of this. And they met with a person.
Horrible, absolutely
and this
horrible.
person was probably paid, by the way, and
Oh my
didn't
gosh.
know, may have not known. They're just terrible.
So prevalent. I literally have received no fewer than a dozen pretty darn compelling emails from recruiters. And one of the first ones I got, I was like, hey, I like kind of reached out to a group of executive women in cybersecurity that I'm connected with on Slack. And I said, does this look real to you?
Wow.
And the thing is, the scammer had been using the name of an actual recruiter who has a real LinkedIn profile.
Wow.
And side note, if this happens to you, reach out to that person on LinkedIn and say, like, is this email from you? But it is just so incredibly prevalent. And it's heartbreaking, right? It is heartbreaking in a time where the job market's kind of tough for tech. It's kind of tough for cyber. Yeah, it's really hard. It's really weird.
Has there been a belief, Caroline, you believe like 10, 15 years ago that you firmly believed that you no longer believe?
What a great question. You know, there's something that's definitely continuing about globalization. I think I was able to shift my mindset relatively early culturally to say, you know what, I don't care where you were born and I don't care where on this planet you're located. You could be just as smart, just as technical, just as good of a hacker as somebody on the other side of the planet. And that is so incredibly true. And that is not helping American workers in tech.
Right. Yeah, that is very true. Is there a question, Caroline, that you wish more people would ask you?
You got me stumped, Joey. You got me stumped. I mean, I think one is, you know, what's gonna, so I believe actually that entire markets in cybersecurity are going to be totally washed away by AI, and that it's just a matter of time. Some of it's going to happen in 2 years, some of it's going to happen in 20 years, and I think that's going to be so interesting. I think when it comes to security testing, for example, I've spent a lot of to answer your question, Caroline, like what's the question you wish people might ask. And I think it's less of a question that I wish people might ask, and I think it's more of a discussion that I'd love to have with folks often, which is, what is it that's going to be totally wiped away? That to me is super interesting, because I do think it's going to happen. And I think that a lot of manual security testing is going to shift dramatically thanks to what we can do now with AI. I think that one of the things that we're facing as an industry is we have all these point solutions, and there's all this vendor consolidation, and they just all get bought up by one person, but they're still separate point solutions that don't actually work together. And what's going to happen is you're going to have these AI firms that are designing security testing that is meant to test not at one layer, not in either first-party code or third-party code, but across and between the layers. And this is where we're actually going to see some interesting new vulnerabilities pop up. One of the things that's really kind of annoying to me, we as an industry just got a new kind of draft of the OWASP top 10. And one of the things that's...
OWASP?
OWASP, check it out. Okay, and they actually changed the name. So I think it used to be Open Web Application Security Project, and now I think it's like something slightly different.
Okay.
It is a list of 10 common web application security vulnerability types.
Wow.
Really cool stuff. The original list was published in 2003. We just got, as an industry, our, 10th version of the list.
Wow.
And if I take the 2025 version and I put it right next to the 2003 version, like, they are not so different. They are probably like 60 or 70% exactly the same. And what's frustrating to me about that is that it means that we as an industry, we actually know exactly how to find and fix and remediate these issues. But like, we're still just like so far from getting it right.
Wow.
And so that's sort of endlessly fascinating to me.
So I started my tech business, my MSP, back in the 90s, Caroline. I was working way too hard, 14, 16-hour days. You're no stranger to this. And putting exercise and, well-being in the back seat. I'm in front of the doctor. She tells me I'm at 340 pounds. So I'd gained all this terrible weight. I knew I was getting big, didn't think I was that bad. But she says to me, if you don't lose this weight, you're not going to see your daughter graduate. So I'm driving home, upset with myself, punching the steering wheel. I can abuse myself all I want, but I have this family now.
Totally.
Spent the next 6-7 months, lost about 130 pounds, and you can't look at this as a finishing line. These are lifelong changes you have to make. So when I tell people this story, they say, what's your secret? And there's no secret. I say discipline, right? Routine, willpower, focus. How does discipline play a role in your life, Caroline?
Thank you so much for sharing that story with me. I used to have a really big alcohol problem, and then I decided that I wanted to get pregnant. My sister, who happens to be... No, not compatible. My sister, who happens to be a medical doctor, we're at dinner one night, and I'm explaining to her that, I'm trying to get pregnant, and I'm drinking a glass of red wine, and she looks at me.
Uh-oh.
And she says, are you out of your mind? And I say to her, don't people get pregnant all the time when they're, drinking and doing drugs? And she says, yeah, people do, but not you. And I was like, oh gosh, I gotta stop. And so I'm more than a decade sober.
Wow.
And it's like, what's your reason? What's your why?
Right.
Because I'm so fortunate. People say to me, like, Caroline, how did you get sober? And people who are not child-having people, I say, the way that I did it is not going to work for you. The way that I did it is not going to work for you, Joey. Because I don't think you're going to be getting pregnant anytime soon.
No.
But I was really lucky in that I had a deep-seated belief that I never wanted to be a pregnant woman who was drinking alcohol.
Wow.
And that was that. And that was that. You got to have, it's just about having a why, a really, really good why that matters.
Was discipline instilled as a child in the household? Was it talked about? Was it there? Was it exemplified?
My parents are Chinese immigrants.
Oh, wow.
And I used to think, like, why is my family so culturally different? And now, in middle age and with kids, I have so much gratitude to my parents, because truly what they gave me was discipline, and it didn't feel great when I was 8 years old and, getting yelled at because I didn't have the top grades in my class. It felt so unfair. It felt so irrelevant. Everyone else was just doing fine and being normal. And I was like, I just want to be normal. And my parents were like, no, you have to be outstanding. And I was like, why? And then here I am and all the incredible benefits it's given to me. And truly, the number one benefit is discipline. And, I'm raising my kids, they're lucky kids. They're privileged kids. They have everything they could possibly need. Well, they don't have a whole lot of is adversity. And what they don't have a whole lot of is challenge.
Interesting.
It's actually one of the reasons why we sort of insist that our kids do jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
We really encourage our kids to be competitive in jiu-jitsu. I showed it to my first and only competition, and I'm watching these kids compete, and it's such an incredibly emotional experience. And what an incredible experience for a kid to have that without a jiu-jitsu competition, some of these kids might not experience challenge like that. They might not experience devastation like that. They might not experience grief like that for years and years and years. What a gift.
It really is, yeah. And that's not something that's easily manufactured. They need to be set in that environment to experience it.
Totally. And it's so interesting. So many parents I talk to, we all just want our kids to have better lives than we did.
That's right.
We all just want them to be smarter and kinder and stronger and so much better than we ever possibly could have dreamed of for ourselves. And then what happens when you're in a wonderful position to give your kid everything? And you're like, there's something missing here. How do I insert a little challenge?
That's right.
How do I insert a little bit of boredom? And I think those things are really important.
There's a lyric in a song somewhere. I gave you everything you wanted. Is it really what you wanted? Yeah. Has there been anything in the last month or so you changed your mind on, Caroline?
That's a great question. I don't have a good response to that.
Do you find yourself changing your mind often? Seldom? Occasionally?
I am a mind changer. I'm an open-minded, fluid sort of thinker. I'm actually more likely to change my mind than not. I think part of it has to do with, it might actually have to do with being extroverted and really enjoying connecting with people. I'm super open to changing my mind. Because I think I could totally be wrong at any given moment. Like maybe I don't have the right information. Maybe I didn't have a relevant experience. So yeah, I'm very much kind of a open to changing my mind type of person.
I like to think that I can change my mind on any subject given new evidence.
Totally.
It's too bad we don't, more times than not, we see a world where people kind of dig in and, I think the world would be a better place if more adopted that philosophy.
We also, I think one of the things that I worry about for my kids, and I don't think that I will be able to solve this for them, but I'm hoping that the way that they grow up and the way that their brains develop enables them to have critical thinking. Evidence is like not even a thing.
Right. That's what somebody said.
Evidence is like not even a thing. Data is not even a thing. Facts are not even a thing. And maybe that's always been the case. But really and truly now, I watch a video of you. How do I know it's Joey and not a deepfake of Joey?
That's right.
I hear your voice. How do I know it's you and not AI generated? I mean, gosh, the story that you told about the person going to the coffee shop, signing their job application, giving away all their information that you would give to a potential new employer. That person met a person in real life. I mean, trust and identity. It's
terrible.
It's hard to know.
What motivates you, Caroline?
Want to show your love for discipline, inspiration, and the Joey Pinz podcast? Now's your chance. Introducing the brand new Joey Pinz merch store, where style meets discipline. Choose from premium apparel, cozy hoodies, stylish hats, durable bags, and your new favorite coffee mug, all featuring the iconic Joey Pinz logo. Perfect for podcast fans, discipline enthusiasts, or as unique gifts for friends and family. Every purchase supports the Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations podcast, helping us continue to inspire greatness and promote positive change. Visit joeypins.com/store today and wear your discipline proudly. Joey Pinz merch. Wear it, share it, and live it.
I just want to try and have a good time. There's a book. Is it called 4,000 Weeks? I read it a couple years ago. And it's like a human lifetime is 4,000 weeks. And you kind of think about it, you're like, oh, that's not very many weeks. And I just think to myself, like, while I'm here, I'm just going to try and have a good time.
So how do you measure success, given that motivation?
Joy and peace and maximizing positive impact.
Impact is wonderful, especially when, like you said, it could be positive.
Yeah, and we have, there's, I think we each have so many opportunities every single day to make positive impacts. You can just have a kind conversation with a person, listen to somebody, smile at somebody, write something down, share something you thought with someone. That we have moments every day, I think, where we have opportunities to make positive impact.
I thank you so much for your time, Caroline. What an absolute pleasure talking to you. If anybody's watching or listening, how can they get in touch with you?
You can find me on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, Caroline Wong, W-O-N-G. We'll make sure to put it in the show notes. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Joey. I appreciate it.
Bye now.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypins.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.